Today we're looking back into one of Reddit's most iconic posts, the lamp story. A real experience where OP suddenly realized the past 10 years of his life had been nothing but a complete lie. And not because of the reasons you might think. He discovered that his wife, kids, along with his very own reality, did not exist. Hey everyone, I hope you, my dear netizens of the internet, are all doing great and welcome back to another video by me, Astrei. I'm doing pretty good, but I do have to mention that as of the time of this recording, it is 1 AM. I usually record my videos at 10 PM or so this is very weird for me. It's been a long time since I've done this, so tonight you're going to have to bear with my incredibly annoying Valorant player wannabe sleep-deprived voice. It is very late at night and I think I'm definitely bothering my roommates, but honestly, I don't give a fuck. Quality content comes first and I guess we're doing this now. Some weeks ago, I was bored out of my mind waiting for my bus to arrive. I had time to kill and enough mobile data to overstimulate my tiny little iPad kid brain, and so I stumbled upon a Reddit post that has always intrigued me but I had completely forgotten about. If you've been on the internet for long enough, you've definitely read the Reddit lamp story. It was originally posted on the r/glitch in the matrix subreddit by user Temptotasun, who details how he got to experience and live through an entire lifetime after a horrific accident, until he noticed something strange happening to a lamp sitting in his living room. However, before I begin, I want to start this video by saying thank you. My videos have been getting so much love and support, it's actually kind of unreal, as the channel currently sits at 1,680 subscribers. How? And this is something that I've only dreamed of. But still, I want to thank every single one of you guys for helping me build this community. Fun fact, 97.2% of the people currently watching this video are not subscribed. So if you want to continue seeing videos like this one, leaving a thumbs up and subscribing makes a whole world of difference. Now, with that out of the way, let's begin. r/glitch in the matrix is a subreddit dedicated entirely for people to discuss strange and surreal experiences that are simply not able to be explained logically. People claiming to have died only to return to their bodies the moment before the accident took place, almost as if they reloaded a save file. Strangers sharing the exact same memories despite never having interacted. A boy who disappeared from reality only to reappear again, and much more. These stories are referred to as glitches in the matrix, an allusion to the simulation theory, a hypothesis that suggests that everything we perceive to be real is entirely a digital construction and reality as we know it is fake. Since humanity's technology has evolved to the current point it is at now, it is not entirely out of the picture that we could create a realistic simulation, and if we have the capacity to do it, then chances are that another higher species is simulating this one right now. Although I don't use Reddit much, I can say that this is one of my favorite subreddits by far. Some of these stories are genuinely chilling, especially late at night when you're in the mood for some spicy existentialism. Some of my favorite pieces of media and certified astrei recommendations are centered around the idea of the validity of cognition. The Truman Show, Perfect Blue, Serial Experiments Lane all mention that sometimes a human empiric experience is not enough to prove that the fabric of reality is real. Whether it be a TV show, a dreamlike episode of depersonalization, or if your identity itself is that of a human's. So, ever since I stumbled upon this post again, I haven't stopped thinking about it, and the horrifying ramifications of actually being asleep. I feel there is much to be said and so much to fear about this story, and I also feel that the philosophical communities of the internet have brushed it off as just another creepy story, when in reality it is much more than that. Tonight, I will be your narrator for A Parallel Life, Awoken by a Lamp, a now deleted post by user Temptotasun. I will then proceed to give you my own philosophical interpretation of it. With that out of the way, turn off the lights, microwave some popcorn, get comfy, and let's begin. A Parallel Life, Awoken by a Lamp. Throwaway account because this is really personal. My last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds, I was 120 pounds. While unconscious on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married and almost immediately, she bore me a daughter. I had a great job and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, she, my wife, bore me a son. My son was the joy of my life. I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. One day, while sitting on the bench, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was a little odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. It was a square lamp base, red with gold trim on 4 legs and a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it. The next morning, I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about the lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon, I stopped that too as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at the fucking lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me. By this time, my cognizance was breaking up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I had my epiphany. The lamp is not real. The house is not real. My wife, my kids, none of that is real. The last 10 years of my life are not fucking real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kinds of weird noises, and I became aware of pain. A fucking shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and I opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk surrounded by people that I didn't know. Lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up, dragged/walked me across the sidewalk and the grass and threw me face down into the back of a cop car. I was still confused. I was taken for the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to wait for the ambulance to arrive and give CT scans and shit. I went through 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children and dealing with the knowledge that they never existed. I was scared that I was going insane as I would cry myself to sleep hoping I would see her in my dreams. I never have, but sometimes I see my son. Usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He is perpetually 5 years old and I can never hear what he says. I believe everyone at some point in their lives have asked themselves the question, am I dreaming? I asked this question myself when I was a little kid, and I remember that I had an intense discomfort thinking there was a possibility where all of my experiences were simply a byproduct of me being asleep, and I was scared of forgetting my life, the people I'd met, my mother's smile. I've never liked the idea of being insignificant in the grand scheme of things, so I've naturally always clashed with the simulation theory. When I was in middle school, I remember that a couple of my philosophy classes were dedicated entirely about this debate. How do you know you are not currently in a simulation? And most importantly, how do you know you're real? Even if I try to remember, I have no idea what younger astrei said during these arguments. But I do remember that when my classmates brought up that if life was a simulation, then life would not matter, as nothing around you actually exists. Therefore, it is not important. To which I disagreed completely. To me, if we live in a simulation or a dream, does not matter at all, because from my point of view, everything I am experiencing in the moment is real. If the sun feels real in my skin, if the joy and warmth I feel when I'm with my friends feels real, and if I get to experience strong emotions like love and hate, then that means everything in my life is real. If my reality being composed of ones and zeros means nothing matters because they're simply numbers floating through the void, then you could argue the same exact thing for atoms. They are insignificant particles floating through the abyss, and they are also stand-ins for things that actually exist. But you can see, smell, hear, touch, and taste the things they form. Therefore, even if things are made out of atoms or binary code, they're real. Now, remember how I mentioned that a younger version of me was repulsed by the idea of living in a dream? I would say that the current version of me would not mind at all. As you just heard, I believe that your cognition is what dictates your reality. Since I can recognize my surroundings as real, they exist. If you are not able to recognize them and it does not even signify an absence, you are not missing out on anything. Therefore, it does not exist. This is going to be a very stupid example to try to get my point across, but have you ever felt itchy on a third arm? No, because it's not there, and so, it being an absence that goes unnamed does not exist. A blind person is completely deprived of sight, therefore, they can't see. Not even the color black, as they are not wired to see color. I guess this idea can also be linked to some degree with finding comfort in ignorance. When I was younger, I remember learning about the cosmos and how much it disturbed me. Even when I wrote the script that I'm currently reading, I opted not to mention the concepts that would keep me up at night. If there was a way for me to completely wipe them out from my brain, I would absolutely do it. And I feel that not only would I be a happier person, but the child version of me wouldn't have spent so many nights drowning in cold sweat and deafened by his own heart palpitations late at night. Things really do not exist if you're not there making an effort of making them real. Did you know that the Odyssey and the Iliad never mention the color blue, despite having many different moments taking place near the ocean and having mentioned other colors multiple times? Except for blue, which has led anthropologists and historians to believe that maybe the ancient Greeks could visually not perceive the color blue, or they could see it, but their language did not have English color differentiations. So, it went unperceived as it was unnamed. Similarly, how the people of the Himba tribe have a lot of trouble differentiating blues from greens, but are exceptionally good at finding the differences of isolated greens with very slight color differentiations. In an area where trees and palms are so dense you can't see the sky, it might as well not exist. The same way, being so familiar with their environment and said greens makes these differences worth noticing and therefore real. Here's another very stupid example that I really like. You do not have the eyes of a mantis shrimp, so you can't see the full color spectrum. Yes, sometimes I would love to see those colors, but they really do not exist to me and there is not much of a difference or a need for me to see them, which poses a very interesting question. Is your reality real even if you know that your senses are not giving you the full display of information in your surroundings? Is the correct way of experiencing life transhumanism because your biological facilities are not enough? Would this imply that engaging with your senses is a form of escapism because you're technically avoiding acquiring knowledge and ignoring external information that dictates your reality? Now, I'd like to switch gears and talk about the butterfly dream. This is a philosophical Taoist concept coming from ancient China, where a thinker, Zhuangzi, explores the duality of the self, the one who is awake, and the persona in our dreams. The passage describes Zhuangzi having a vivid dream, where he lived as a butterfly, experiencing life through its eyes, flapping its wings against the wind, and posing its legs on the grass. This dream was so vivid that once he woke up, he was only met with confusion. Why was he now a man when all he knew was that he was a butterfly? In reality, he wasn't. But the vividness left the man to think, am I a butterfly who dreams of being a man? Or am I a man waking up from a dream of being a butterfly? Without delving into the psychological or religious intricacies of Taoism in ancient China, I'd like to focus on the main question this story poses. What is reality? This is a concept explored all the way back from Plato and his belief of two worlds, the physical and the ideal, a plane of existence called the topos hyperuanion, where all ideas in their perfect forms reside. 2. René Descartes' argument. If dreams feel real when I experience them, then how do I know I am not currently in one? Now, personally, I'd like to ask myself the question, am I dreaming? To which I answer, I don't fucking know. When people affirm we're living inside the Matrix or a dream, they like to throw in a nothing is real. And just like my 13-year-old self did, I still disagree. Like I said, your feelings and experiences dictate your reality. You could be a brain floating in space receiving the correct electroshocks. Your brain needs to create an illusion of your existence. But do I care? Not really. If I am living more as a furry loser than I am as a space brain, then I am a furry loser. Even if trusting your senses is a nice way to look at life, it poses a new dilemma. If your cognition is what your reality is, and your cognition is perceiving a dream you are fine in living in, then what does waking up even mean? Imagine at this exact moment, the lights go out. You are surrounded by the dark and its deafening silence, only for the lights to rapidly return, and you wake up in bed. A bed that isn't yours, in a room that isn't yours, and a face that isn't yours either. You woke up from life itself only to find out everything was nothing but an illusion. This confusion rapidly turns to a panic. Where am I? Which morphs into a who am I? You remember a name, your real name. You remember this is your home. You feel dizzy, even inebriated. This is not it. This is not my body, my room, my reality. But that discomfort cannot stop you. You fix your posture, and as soon as your feet touch the ground, you remember one last thing. You remember what you were. You lived in a younger body, under a different name, and you try to calm down. What would you fear of forgetting the most? You think about your mother and her face. She also taught you to count to 10. She covered your knees in bandages when they were scraped. She cooked every morning, afternoon, and night so you wouldn't go to bed hungry. She played with your hair just as much as you did playing with your toys. And you realize she is gone, your mother. Well, your dream mother is no longer here. She actually never even left, as she wasn't here. She will forever be stuck as a blurry, hazy memory in your head. And just like her gaze vanished, you now notice that the language that flowed so naturally in your dream was nothing but unrecognizable gibberish, and it, along with the other languages you knew, begin to fade away. Your brain knows that the previous lifetime was nothing but a nap, so it has no use to preserve so many little details. You forget your friends, your skills, your passions, you forget. And now, the life you deeply cherished is gone. Even if this is now your cognition, would you like to stick to a reality where only your body resides but not your heart? Or would you try to find your way back home to a place that never was? Because if my previous affirmation of accepting reality based on cognition was true, then at this point neither of the realities you lived in would be real. One of them for being a dream you woke up from, and the other one for being awake in a place where you don't want to be. You're too in love with dreaming, which in turn leads you to refuse engaging in your true reality, rejecting both perceptions and not existing in a mental body or a physical one. If you were experiencing the most painful, miserable existence only to fall asleep and live like a king, or if you lived as a hedonistic animal who never experienced pain or hunger, who then dozes off to be a human capable of complex thought, who lives in poverty and illness, which reality would you choose? Are humans naturally pleasure-seeking and avoidant of conflict to the point that they would betray their very own rationale for peace? Or are we willing to face the adversity and experience hardship for a chance to understand what it means to be alive? Would the current you look forward to giving up your mind for freedom locked by survival? Or would you grieve the loss of your faculties and accept living as a smaller being? So, maybe the lamp story was just a glitch in the Matrix, and whether it be a simulation, a dream, or an illusion created by the brain, OP experienced all of this and more. To which I sincerely hope they had enough time to grieve and build a new life, brick by brick. Or maybe I'm just overthinking a Reddit post at 2 a.m. Because I've been doing this for an hour. Anyway, that's about it. This is probably my trippiest video up to date, and I know editing this bad boy will give me a headache. Take a shot every single time I say the word dream, reality, existence, simulation, or cognition. you will be dead. But yes, I personally do believe that this story is completely real. Did OP actually experience a glitch in the Matrix? I'm not sure if I would call it that, but I do believe that the human brain is fully capable of conjuring an illusion like this. And as strange as it sounds, I do want to give OP my most sincere condolences for having lost a family that he loved, even if they weren't exactly there. I love dreaming, and sometimes I wake up to shitty weeks, even months, and sometimes I wish I could be asleep forever. But I think at this point in my life, I enjoy being awake a tiny bit more than I am of being asleep. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts about this story in the comments down below, as well as your weird, trippy philosophical interpretation too. If this video does well, I would love to make more videos like this one. Maybe I could try to make a video entirely narrating Glitch in the Matrix Reddit stories, or fully focusing on interpreting and analyzing these strange errors in the simulation in the future. But anyway, I am getting very sleepy, and I do have work tomorrow, so I wish you all a good night and have fun in your dreams. But not so much, because waking up is kind of badass. My name is Astrei, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.